There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, health, happiness, and peace of mind. You can tap into this power, and this power will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I am Janine Burns, your host of Spirituality Rocks. I'm an interfaith chaplain, and I am ordained in the New Thought denomination. Not New Age, New Thought. New Thought teaches spiritual principles that the power of God, spirit, infinite intelligence, whatever you choose to call the creative power of the universe, is active within you, and that your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes affect your experience. I'm very pleased today to have two guests join me. On Skype, we have the Reverend Jerry Troyer from San Diego, California, and he's from the Joyful Living Church. And in the studio, we have Dr. Maria Hughes, the director of the Creative and Positive Living Science of Mind Center. You may have heard the story about the devil who was going to a Halloween party. He was all dressed up. He had the ears and the tail, and he had a pitchfork. And he was walking down the street going to this party. All of a sudden, it starts to rain. We're talking torrential rain. The rain is coming down really hard. And so he darts into the closest building, and it turns out to be a fundamental church. So all the people in the church, they see the devil walk in the building, and they start running in every which direction. They're jumping out of windows. They're running out the door, except for this one little old lady whose coat gets caught upon the pew. So the devil goes over to help her out, and the lady says to him, "Devil, I want you to know I've been a member of this church for 30 years, but I've been on your side the whole time."
That's good.
It's an amusing story, an amusing joke. And the question becomes, whose side are you on? Are you on your own side? Are you willing to take the time daily to practice your spiritual essential self-care? Do you take time to meditate, to do affirmative prayer, to do affirmations? What do you do to nourish your spirit? As spiritual beings having a human experience, it is our responsibility to be in charge of our thinking and thus in charge of our life. But too many times, unfortunately, we blame people, circumstances, and events for the way that our life is turning out, because it's really easy to blame people, circumstances, and events. There's a true story from the book The Power of Commitment by Doug Yeaman and Noel McGinnis. Noel McGinnis was one of my mentors. And they tell this story of this woman who was in an airport in California, and there was a plane that was going to San Francisco. She was very intense and nervous. She was going to San Jose. And the boarding announcement was clear. Passengers for Air California Flight 45 to San Francisco are now boarding at Gate 7. And so this passenger heading to San Jose hurries over to Gate 7. And just as she was boarding, the flight announcement was clear. Had she been listening, it was repeated loudly. And so somehow her ticket was not noticed by the ticket taker. This was back in the 1980s when there wasn't an electronic system. And so she gets on the plane, she buckles up, and soon the plane is moving down the runway. And pre-flight instructions to the passengers began with the customary, "Welcome to Air California Flight 45 to San Francisco." And at this point, you hear this screech throughout the whole cabin of the plane. And the passenger, this woman who's going to San Jose, she bolts from her seat. She runs down the aisle looking for a flight attendant, screaming, "This plane is going to the wrong place. I'm supposed to be in San Jose." So the flight attendant, who's already buckled in, she grabs the lady by the arm and wings her around to the seat next to her and says, "We'll get you to San Jose, but you're going to San Francisco first." And the lady responds, "You have no right to take me to San Francisco. I'm going to San Jose. You obviously didn't read my ticket, and I'm going to miss a wedding, and it's all your fault." How many times do we assign blame to other people or circumstances and events? And as long as we hold other people responsible for our life journey, we are going to lack the awareness that is needed to get us where we need to go. People who take responsibilities for their life experience peace and ease and joy, and they have a certain control over the circumstances. Now, they cannot control external events, but they can control the internal events of their mind and emotions. You can either choose to respond or react. When you react, you come from fear and you do whatever you think you right moment. Whereas you respond, you check in with divine guidance. That's our direct inheritance from the power within us, is divine guidance. We will always have the ideas, whatever ideas we need, whenever we need them, to experience whatever particular good that we choose. It may not show up the way we want, but if we choose to experience peace, ease, and joy, all we need to do is ask for guidance. But it comes at a price. The price is the willingness to respond, the ability to respond to your own life. The willingness to meditate, the willingness to take the time to quiet the mind so that divine ideas can come through, the willingness to do your affirmative prayer, and the willingness to do your affirmations. And so it's very important. You see, no one can live your life for you. Every event is a choice. Every event is a choice. And when circumstances don't go our way, we have the choice to respond from a place of peace and wholeness, from a place of knowing that God is always with us. And then when we do this, we don't shift responsibility for our decisions to other people. And, you know, we all do experience disappointments in life, and sometimes they're profound. Yet, as I said, we choose how we can respond. Oftentimes, we respond by beating ourselves up. That doesn't do anything. Another way we respond is by talking about our story. You know, there's a lot of energy in the negativity of telling our story. And what's interesting about telling our story is every time you tell it, there always seems to be a little writer's embellishment. You know what I'm saying? The story gets a little bigger, it gets a little stronger, it gets a little better each time you say it. And so what we do is we tell our stories over and over again, and we have a pity party. And when we have this kind of pity party, what we do is we tell our story, and the other person gets to tell their story. And then we tell another story to sort of trump their story to see whose story can be the worst, more negative story, right? And we tell it over and over again, and then more and more energy gets applied to it, and more energy, and then we just get caught on a trap. We got to stop the pity parties, and we have to stop our thinking. We have to be in charge of our thinking. When our thinking is going off, we need to go, wait a minute. Once we're consciously aware, we need to go, wait a minute, and to rethink, get a new thought, get a higher thought, get a better thought. Learn to ask a better question. Not, why did this happen to me, but ask, what do I need to know here? What do I need to do? What is the next best step? Whatever is in front of you, ask yourself, what is the next best step? And ask yourself, what is the blessing in this circumstance? What is the gift that this circumstance is offering for me? And from those questions and that kind of thinking, you will be guided to the thoughts and actions that serve you for your highest good. Right after our commercial break, we'll be back with Reverend Jerry Troyer of the Joyful Living Center in San Diego, California. He also wrote the book, Coming Out to Ourselves, which we're going to talk about in a little while. And we're also here with Dr. Maria Hughes from the Creative and Positive Living Science and Mind Center in Levittown. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely.
Hey, I'm Tom Mealy from the Harrison Law Group. You know, soft tissue injury, that's no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. Don't waste valuable time going to firms who don't get it and can't do it. Call 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware.
We have 3 of the largest showrooms of safes on display and in stock. You can see and touch them in person instead of browsing a catalog. We carry gun and rifle safes, burglary safes, jewelry safes, fire rated from a half hour to 2 hour. Famous name brands.
We sell Gardol.
We sell AMSAC.
The new AMSAC touchscreen.
If you're ever in need of a safe, think Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware. Right, Lockie?
That's right, Alan.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
This is Beth.
Hi.
Oh, congratulations. When are you due?
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, look at that. Excuse me.
You're totally thin.
You look very sexy.
For life's bleachable moments, all it takes is 3/4 of a cup.
Ray, I don't know. Are you sure clicking this thing will get us online?
Well, try dragging it.
Faster.
You're just a mouse click away from a better way to rent movies. Blockbuster Total Access. Movies through the mail plus movies through the store. One low price.
Here's the problem. We forgot to plug it in.
Oh! Don't even think about it!
Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or blockbuster.com.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! Spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! Power!
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power! Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Old Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power! Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power!
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully. I am.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Delighted to bring you my guest today. We have the Reverend Jerry Troyer of the Joyful Living Church in San Diego, California on Skype. He is the author of this book entitled Coming Out to Ourselves. And in studio, we have the Reverend Dr. Maria Hughes,
Yes.
the director of the Creative and Positive Living Science of Mind Center in Levittown. Today's show is about responsibility, taking responsibility, learning to respond rather than react. At the beginning of the show, I spoke about how so many of us like to have a pity party. We talk about what's not working, what's bad, what's wrong, and we like to talk about it over and over and over again. And Reverend Jerry, in his book, Coming Out to Ourselves, talks about that a little bit. So, Reverend Jerry, take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dr. Janine. You know, all of us have our story, and many of the stories are what we believe about ourselves and other people and God, Spirit, the universe, our higher power, whatever we choose to call it. Some of those stories we inherited from parents and grandparents and ministers and other people. They told us what the truth was, and we said, oh, okay, because we didn't know any different. And we made it our truth. And so sometimes the opportunity is to go and look at the story that we tell ourselves about what's right and wrong and decide if maybe we need to change our story and our rules. One of the stories I talk about in the book is my experience with the, I like to say lovingly released, but the truth is I was laid off. This was in December of 2008, a week before Christmas, after working for a company for 23 years. And so that was my story. And I got a lot of mileage out of that because I tell people about what happened and they say, oh my God, you poor thing. After all that period of that length of time, 23 years, a week before Christmas, so on and so on, you poor thing, what are you going to do? We'd be selling matches in the snow, you know, which would be no small task living in San Diego, and just the whole pity party kind of thing. And I really got a lot of mileage out of that until one day, the still small voice, my intuition, got a word in edgewise and said, aren't you tired of telling this story? Because the truth is, I was. The truth is, and you were talking about this earlier, that there is always a blessing in an experience. And Course in Miracles said that everyone and everything leans toward us to bless us. Well, the truth is, the job that I love to do didn't exist anymore. So, and I kept getting the cosmic suggestion, maybe you should be finding something else, maybe you should be doing something else. And then I finally got what many of us like to call the cosmic 2x4, in that I was laid off. So what I was able to do over time was to change my story, that this really was the best thing that could have possibly happened. And since I didn't have the chutzpah, for lack of a better word, to go find something new, the universe helped me get out of that situation that really didn't serve me. It's so important for us to look at and listen to the stories that we tell ourselves, because not only do they get A, pretty tiresome after a while, but B, because life is lived from the inside out, we keep attracting other experiences to ourselves based on our beliefs and what we tell ourselves in our story.
And the point is, you know, it's the retelling of the stories over and over and over and having a pity party, because, you know, it's important to have a trusted friend or an advisor that you could talk about your feelings and, you know, the circumstances, but it's the over and over that really gets us stuck. Reverend Maria, I want to ask you a question. When people come to you and, you know, you've counseled with them and they tell you the story, and then the next session they come to tell you your story again, what do you do?
Well, I stopped them.
You stop them?
I stopped them. I think if you stay in the same place all the time, you're not accomplishing anything. And I'm wasting my time. They're wasting their time. They're only there to rehash the same story. And every time you tell the story, you're hurt all over again.
Hurt all over again.
That's not going to help anybody. It's not going to help the person. It's not going to help you as a counselor.
You know, what I liked in Reverend Jerry's book, Coming Out to Ourselves, I just happened to open to this today, and I thought this was fantastic. And he said, do you have a story? He said that he got a lot of miles out of a particular story of his, and it was almost like he carried a box in his car with a cake, paper hats, and streamers around with him, and he could pull over any minute and set up a pity party and fall back into the ain't it awful mode.
Yeah.
And isn't that true?
Yeah,
That's what we do.
it's true.
Until you make, it's about a conscious decision, right, Reverend Jerry? You have to make a conscious decision to change.
Right.
Reverend Jerry, talk more about making that conscious decision to make a change. The Skype is not agreeing with us right now, Reverend Jerry. It sounds like you have marble mouth.
Yeah.
So, Reverend Maria, I'm going to flip over to you.
Okay, fine.
Because you never
That's
have
good.
marble mouth. You're one of the most articulate people I know. So let's.
First of all, I want to say,
yes,
what we're discussing right now, we should not be using we. Because if we're using we, we're putting ourselves as one of those persons who are not taking responsibility or rehashing the story. We want to say those who.
Okay.
Those who. Take that feeling away. Because anybody who's talking will say, we,
Right, don't
everybody's
identify
guilty.
personally. That's what you're
Everybody's guilty then.
Okay.
So we don't want to. If
Excellent.
you're going to teach somebody, you don't want them to feel guilty. You want them, it's just like a child. If they do something wrong, you don't want to tell them, you did it. You want to tell them in a way, listen, something's not right here. You didn't do something maybe the way it shouldn't be done. Let me show you this way. So you're doing the same thing to adults. You're counseling adults the same way as you consult a child.
Fantastic. Reverend Jerry, do we have you back on Skype over there?
So.
Yes, we do. You're no longer marble mouth.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Okay, go ahead. Continue. Please continue on with this idea.
You know, we all have our stories, and I love the story about the airline flight from going to San Jose versus San Francisco. And the truth is, you know, a lot of us say get on the plane and say, or get on a plane, the plane being life, say we want to go to San Francisco, but really wind up in San Jose over and over again, because even though we say we want to do one thing, we wind up doing something else. And very often that has to do with the stories that we tell ourselves about what's happened in the past, about our deservedness, just about a variety of things.
So how do we get a new story? Let's talk to the viewer right now who's saying, but wait, how can I change? What do I need to do? Let's ask Reverend Jerry to answer that first, and then we'll go to Reverend Maria.
The first thing is to recognize what you believe and feel about whatever it is you're talking about. Your story might be that you broke, and one of the stories that you'll read in my book has to do with my rule about being on time. And you're supposed to, and I just so love the word supposed to, because it always means that I don't really want to do that, but I'm going to do it because I'm supposed to.
Right.
You're supposed to be on time or 20 minutes early, and if you're not, that means you're irresponsible and bad and people won't love you and all the rest of that. That was my story and my rule, and what I found out was not everybody has that rule, but my father did, and I unconsciously inherited it. So the first thing for us to do is to look at those rules and those stories that we tell ourselves about how life and how we should be, and decide if they really still work for us or not. So a lot of people carry guilt and shame and regret about something that's happened or about the truth of who they are because they accepted that truth when they were growing up because they didn't know any better. So we need to look at the story we're telling ourselves and decide if it's really still true for us.
Yes, and I love that expression when people say, stop shooting on me. Because you should this, you should that, you should the other thing. Reverend Maria?
Right. What, you're asking me that?
Yeah, I want to ask you to comment about that. How, what do we do? How do we change the story?
Well, we have to realize that what we're experiencing is part of our life. This is a journey. We're going to encounter things like that. But the secret is not to stay with it, it's to go through it. It's just like when people escape from a camp, like some of the Jewish people escaped during the World War II. They went through it. So they went through the pain, and then they found the way out. But they didn't consistently live at that moment all the time.
You know, you just reminded me of what Dr. Dominic Polifrone always used to say. He would say, when going through hell, just keep on going. Don't stop, don't pitch a tent, and don't take Polaroids.
When your back's to the wall, there's no place you can go but forward.
But there's no place that you can go but forward. Fantastic. All right, we're going to continue with this discussion in just a couple of moments, but right now it's time for a commercial break, and we'll be back with Reverend Jerry Troyer and Dr. Maria Hughes in just a few moments.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am.
Like so many people, are your finances tight lately? Afraid to open your mail or even answer your phone? Well, take heart. You don't have to live like that. If you're 62 or older and own your own home, you can join the thousands of folks who have used safe and effective government-insured reverse mortgages. The government-insured reverse mortgages from Long Island's Senior Reverse Network allow you to stay in your home and turn equity into tax-free cash. Our government-insured reverse mortgages can eliminate mortgage payments, credit card balances, or just improve your lifestyle. Do yourself a favor and solve these problems now. Call the Senior Reverse Network, and our advisors will answer all of your questions about our reverse mortgage programs. We've helped scores of senior Long Island homeowners like you who now enjoy a worry-free retirement. Get the financial security and peace of mind you've dreamed about. Pick up the phone and call us at the Senior Reverse Network now to set up a free consultation.
Call 1-800-985-REVERSE. That's 1-800-985-7383.
Hey, I'm Tom Mealy from the Harrison Law Group. You know, soft tissue injury, that's no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. Don't waste valuable time going to firms who don't get it and can't do it. Call 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Welcome to Shoreline Beverage. We are located on New York Avenue in Huntington, just 1/2 mile north of the Huntington Station for Long Island Railroad. Shoreline Beverage is Long Island's preeminent beverage distributor, specializing in a wide variety of beer, soda, and related items. With our huge selection of craft and imported beer, along with Long Island's largest array of non-alcoholic beverages and soft drinks, you will agree, Shoreline Beverage is your #1 source for all your beverage needs. We also supply ice, kegs, chips, and other snack foods, making Shoreline Beverage a convenient one-stop shopping experience. We offer a huge assortment of cold beverages and feature Long Island's first growler station, serving up 5 fresh beers on tap for your enjoyment. Be sure to check out our website to see what is currently on tap. Our friendly and courteous staff will assist you in every way in order to make every visit to Shoreline Beverage a pleasurable experience. So remember, make Shoreline Beverage your only choice when it comes to your beverage needs. Mention this commercial and receive the free gift on your next visit to Shoreline Beverage.
So then I said, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm flattered that you love chocolate, but I'm here strictly in a professional. What's wrong with him? He thinks you're naked. My shell is brown. It just looks like my milk chocolate is showing. Only a fool would think I'd actually show up naked.
So it's that kind of party. Hit it!
I'm sexy and I know it.
Aye.
Look at that body. Look at that body. Look at that body. I work out. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Joyfully, I follow my peacefully, joyfully. I am.
Oh, wait, this is the prayer.
Okay.
Hi there. Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. We are live in the studio with Dr. Maria Hughes and on Skype with the Reverend Jerry Troyer. This is the time in our show, Spirituality Rocks, where we do affirmative prayer. So I invite you to go within and just take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth and just flow with these words that I speak them in the first person. And I affirm that I am in complete unity with spirit and all that is good. I am nourished by the spirit within. This power flows through me, vitalizing and energizing every atom of my being. Deep within me is a positive attitude to achieve, to accomplish, and to succeed. I take responsibility for my thoughts, the words that come out of my mouth, and for my actions. Spirit operates through me. Therefore, I have the ability and skills to be successful in all that I undertake and all that I am. I'm filled with energy, enthusiasm, and vitality. I let divine ideas govern my thinking and divine love govern my feelings. I act and I speak with confidence, knowing that divine right action is taking place in my entire life and affairs. I have a positive attitude, and it inspires everyone that I meet. The divine presence within me that expresses through me constantly provides me with abundant good, and I have complete trust in this divine inner source. My mind is open to divine guidance. My mind is open to inspiration. My mind is filled with ideas that empower and enrich my life. I have greater success than ever before. Money flows to me easily, frequently, and abundantly. I remain constantly aware of all the good in my life. I thank Spirit for all my blessings. I release this prayer, trusting and knowing divine right action is taking place in my life and affairs. And so it is. Amen.
Amen.
And we're back in the studio live with Dr. Maria Hughes of the Creative and Positive Living Science of Mind Center, Levittown, Long Island. And we are on Skype with Reverend Jerry Troyer of the Joyful Living Church in San Diego, California. He is also the author of Coming Out to Ourselves. This book is available on Amazon. We'll talk more about that in the next segment. But right now, I want to go back to our topic of the day, which is responsibility. I want to look about the responsibility we have to what we believe about ourselves and our life and experience.
That's right.
What are the things, what keeps us in blame and shame and guilt? What keeps us tied to the past and bound to having pity parties and to thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve us? Reverend Jerry.
A lot of it has to do with what we were taught growing up and what we assumed. A great example of that is I had the opportunity to attend a taping of the Dr. Phil show late last year, and there were two girls on the show, both 14 years old, both texting, or I guess they call it sexting now, posting very inappropriate comments on Twitter and Facebook and so forth, and their parents were there as well, and were very, very upset, obviously, because their daughters were doing an inappropriate thing. And in the conversation, what both girls said was they just were looking for someone to love them. And what came out later in the conversation that Dr. didn't pick up on was that both girls had been adopted. So it could very well be that their story was, my birth parents didn't love me, they threw me away, and so now I need to go and find people who love me. But what if they changed their story to be, my birth parents loved me so much, recognized they couldn't take care of me the way I deserved, and so they gave me to a family who could take care of me. So it's always our story. Growing up, we might have a story that we're supposed to get married and have children, and the marriage is supposed to last for the rest of our lives. And if the marriage doesn't, we may carry a lot of shame about that. We might have been taught that it's wrong to be gay or lesbian, or that we're supposed to wait until we get married to have children. Just a variety of things. And so often we carry these feelings of guilt and shame, and we might not identify them or recognize them, but they affect the choices that we make in our lives, and they affect our relationship with spirit.
Absolutely. And one of the ways that we can uncover these stories and the effect that they have on our life is to begin to have spiritual understanding. Spiritual understanding knows the motive and cause for the reason that a circumstance is the way that it is. I remember reading in, I believe it was Stephen Covey's book, and he talked about these children who were on a train with some adults, and the children were acting out. And finally, this person just couldn't take it anymore because the kids were acting out and they were so loud. And he said something to the people he assumed that were the adults. And he said, you know, what's going on with these kids? Quiet them down. And he said, I'm really sorry that, you know, these kids are acting out, but their parents were just killed in an auto accident, which a big startling, he heard this, and suddenly he had great compassion and empathy because he knew spiritual understanding knew motive and cause. And so it really is our spiritual responsibility to get a new attitude, a new look, a new idea, to be able to identify these stories that we are telling ourselves and to write a new script in our lives. Reverend Maria, let's talk about spiritual responsibility.
Okay.
What do you believe as a spiritual being having a spiritual experience? What is your spiritual responsibility?
I go back to the old quote, judge not, lest ye be judged.
Judge not, lest ye be judged.
We judge everybody by what they've done, what they might do, the past, if they were adopted, if they were... That's ridiculous. We're here to help each other, to only be with each other, to love each other, and to assist. We know when Sandy occurred, it was in the paper the other day, but I've said it before, the way people got help was from each other.
Yeah, Sandy was a very big storm we had on Long Island, for those viewers who may not know.
I think everybody knows. Well, if they don't, well,
Now
it
they
was
do.
bad. But anyway, it was the people who helped. And anyone who's going through a trauma, anybody who has to live with something they think they have to hide or anything else, there's got to be a person there who will support them, who will be there. There's always one person in your life that you can turn to. It could be your mother, it could be a stranger, it can be a teacher. But there's only one person that will allow you to express that spirituality that's within you and to know it's okay. That's what I feel about it. Judge not.
Judge not, lest you be judged. Well, so often the judgment is in our own minds against ourselves.
Right.
You know, it's so easy, and you know, I see that with controlling people. People try to control the events around them. I really think that's because they're out of control in their self-talk. In their self-talk, they're criticizing and condemning themselves. I'm so stupid. Why I should have done this. I should have done that. And we get so critical on ourselves. That's where we need to learn a new story, and that's where we need to learn to identify with the creative power of the universe. When you begin to study what this energy, infinite intelligence, and power is, and realize then, really understand that it expresses in you, through you, and as you, that's when you can begin to make a change in your life. And you stop judging. Because you know what? When you're pointing your finger at somebody, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. And usually what you're judging in somebody else is something that you've judged in yourself that's like either good or bad or right or wrong. And it's all about your thinking. Reverend Jerry.
And a big part of judgment also has to do with ourselves. What the chapters in the book talks about forgiveness and especially self-forgiveness. I don't know about you, but my experience has been I am very often happier to forgive someone else than I am myself. And it's so important for us to look at whatever we did or didn't do and recognize that we did the best we could at the time. If there was a way we could have done differently or better, we could have, and so would have everyone else.
That's a really important point, Reverend Jerry, that I would like to emphasize that just a bit. We did the best we could with the information that we had at the time, with the values and the rules that we held for our life, and we made choices based on that. Because people said, no, I should have done better, I should have done better. You did what you did based on the knowledge and information then.
That's a good
point.
Yeah.
and there's that should word again.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we do that. We do that to ourselves. Reverend Maria, what you were saying?
No, I was saying you were right. That's exactly right. The way you were expressing that, that's right.
Yeah, and too often we get wrapped up in that judgment, and that's where we just really, we get shanghaied, is judgments. Just let it go. Step up, step out, move on, turn on and tune your mind to a different wavelength.
When we get away from the concept of the judgmental, hateful God out there somewhere and recognize it's the loving, nurturing presence that resides within us, it's so much easier to recognize that truly the only one judging us is ourselves.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's true.
So for those who are viewing and may not understand what we call practical spirituality or principles of new thought, besides your own book, Reverend Jerry, and I'm going to ask you, Reverend Maria, what are some of your favorite books that you've used in your studies to learn how to understand more about the presence and power of God within, not this anthropomorphic idea of a God who does something to you? What books have worked for you, and what did you learn from them?
I love Alan Cohen's book, Handled with Prayer.
Alan Cohen's book, Handled with Prayer, okay.
And in fact, a lot of people that are just a little bit new to the concept of God as a loving, nurturing presence and not something judgmental out there, it's a really wonderful book to start with.
Okay. And let's flip over to Reverend Maria.
Well, he's mentioned Alan Cohen and also Dare to Be the Star in Your Life, but mainly Louise Hay. Louise Hay and Joseph Murphy.
You're a student of Louise Hay.
Yeah, I'm an accredited teacher for Louise Hay.
Teacher of Louise Hay.
Yes, and I think she writes on a level, if you pick up her book, no matter where you are in life, you relate to something in that book.
Give us a title. Heal Your Life?
Heal your life. You can heal your life.
You can heal your life. Okay,
Right.
My turn, and then we'll go to you, Jerry. One of my favorite books is a book by Ernest Holmes, and Ernest Holmes is a fantastic philosopher. He took the best of the world religions and compiled it into this philosophy called Science of Mind. Not Scientology, there's a big difference, Science of Mind. And he wrote this book called This Thing Called You. This Thing Called You. And what I love about the book is throughout it is affirmative prayer.
Right.
And they're in
Almost
italics.
every page,
Yeah,
yes.
it's in italics.
Every
so you
page.
can just, what I love to do is say, okay, universe, what do I need to know now? And open the book and boom, diddy boom. There's
Great
something
book.
there that always reflects right back to where I'm at in my consciousness and where I'm thinking. And when I've taught that book, and I taught it at a seminary in New York City, I had the students read it in the first person rather than you. You would say I, me, and my, and it was fantastic. So that's one of my favorites. All right, flipped over to you, Reverend Jerry. What's another of your favorite books for people who are newbies?
The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker.
Oh, excellent book. Raymond, The Power of Decision. Your decisions are everything. Tell us more.
Absolutely fabulous book because everything, our power resides in what we decide to do, not what we want to do, not what we think we want to do, but what we absolutely decide, no question about it, by God, I'm going to do this. And Raymond Charles Barker is a great author, and that is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah. And The Power of Decision, that's all about taking responsibility. When you decide, then you begin to step in the direction of your good. You never have the divine guidance that you need for tomorrow, today. Wherever you are, right here and right now, the universe will supply you with the divine ideas. But yes, you must make a decision, and that's taking responsibility for sure.
Right.
Dr. Maria.
Yes.
Tell us another favorite book.
The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
I was going to say that was my next book. I'm going to have to think of another one.
Excellent, wonderful
Man,
book.
I want to tell you a great story. That's how I got into New Thought, Reverend Jerry. I think Dr. Maria, when I used to be the leader of the New Thought Spiritual Center in Huntington, Dr. Maria was one of the staff ministers. In fact, I ordained Dr. Maria. And yeah, and so I was in New Jersey working as a sales rep. I was in the optical field. And I was selling eyewear, eyeglasses. And I went into a bookstore, and as I walk into the bookstore, I see this book fall off the shelf in the back of the bookstore. So being a good little girl, I went to the back of the store and picked up the book, and it said, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And I thought, wow, I've got power? How cool is that?
Right.
I bought the book. And don't you know, a day later, I got really sick. I mean, really sick. I was out, and all of a sudden, I was like really, really, really sick. And so I went and I sought medical treatment, and the doctor couldn't really do anything to me. He couldn't even examine me because I was really sick. He said, look, here's antibiotics. I'll give you a course of antibiotics. Go home, come back in a week, and we'll figure out a therapy, and we'll get you better. I went home, Reverend Rhea, Reverend Joy, I was in so much pain. I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I couldn't think, I couldn't do anything. So I read the book. I mean, I literally couldn't eat. I read the book, and it said there was an infinite intelligence within you that would respond to you, and you could be healed. I would say every single day, every cell, every muscle, every tissue in my body is renourished, renewed, and revitalized through the power of God in me. I must have said that a couple of thousand times a day, literally, because I couldn't do anything else. At the end of the week, I was cured.
You were healed.
I went back to the doctor, and he said to me, if I had not written this record, I tried to explain him what I did. And whenever you try to explain to someone about the power of positive thinking, that the power of God within you, sometimes when you try to explain it, they don't quite get it. And he said, well, I don't understand what you're saying. But what he did say to me is just keep on doing what you're doing. And I did, and it was fantastic. And then my girlfriend called me from California and said, I found a new spiritual center. It was in Hicksville. I went in the back door.
Right.
And by this time, I knew enough about synchronicity that when things happen synchronistically, pay attention. I opened the back door, and it was their library, and the first thing my eyes alighted upon was the book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So I knew that I was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing.
Right.
I do want to say, another one of my favorite books is What You Think of Me Is None of My Business by Terry Cole Whitaker.
That's a good one.
That is a fantastic book.
Yes, very good.
What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. I love that book. There's so many points in there that help you, again, take responsibility. I cannot control external events. I can only control the internal events of my mind and emotions. I am divinely guided. That's the affirmation for this week's show. I cannot control external events. I can only control the internal events of my mind and emotions. I am divinely guided.
Right.
It's time again for another commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
When your cable's on the fritz, you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, your daughter imitates. When your daughter imitates, she gets thrown out of school. When she gets thrown out of school, she meets undesirables. When she meets undesirables, she ties the knot with undesirables. And when she ties the knot with undesirables, you get a grandson with a dog collar. Don't have a grandson with a dog collar. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When your cable company keeps you on hold, you get angry. When you get angry, you go blow off steam. When you go blow off steam, accidents happen. When accidents happen, you get an eye patch. When you get an eye patch, people think you're tough. When people think you're tough, people want to see how tough. And when people want to see how tough, you wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When you pay too much for cable, you throw things. When you throw things, people think you have anger issues. When people think you have anger issues, your schedule clears up. When your schedule clears up, you grow a scraggly beard. When you grow a scraggly beard, you start taking in stray animals. And when you start taking in stray animals, you can't stop taking in stray animals. Stop taking in stray animals. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Ray, I don't know. Are you sure clicking this thing will get us online?
Well, try dragging it. Faster. You're just a mouse click away from a better way to rent movies. Blockbuster Total Access. Movies through the mail plus movies through the store. One low price.
Here's the problem. We forgot to plug it in.
Oh! Don't even think about it! Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or Blockbuster.com.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I want to talk to you a little bit about Madhouse TV. There's some great shows. We film live, Deer Park, Long Island, New York. There is the Maverick Soul Hour with Tommy Marr, and that show is fantastic. They have some of the biggest rock and roll bands in the world. They do interviews, they do live music. It is fantastic. There is the Martini Garden Cafe, which is a musical acoustic show. And then we, of course, have Gail King, Make King a Difference. I believe she is Mrs. America, and she just has a terrific show. I really do it. What is it, Mrs. Senior America? Oh, Mrs. Senior America. Okay, so back in the studio with Dr. Maria Hughes, on Skype with the Reverend Jerry Troyer from San Diego.
Right.
Dr. Maria Hughes believes, and we're talking about spiritual responsibility, she believes it's your spiritual responsibility to tap into your creativity. Right. Tell us more, please.
I do believe that. Well, some people look at artists or writers or anybody who accomplishes something in the arts as being different, but that's not the truism. The truism is that creativity is in everyone, some form of creativity, whether it's singing, dancing, playing, having a rock band, counseling children, and you have to allow that creativity to express through you, because it really is your touch with whatever you call God, the Supreme Being, whatever it is.
Your individualized expression.
It is,
Okay.
and everyone has it.
Great.
Whether you can just cook, whether you cook, whether you sew, whether you take pictures, whether you ride a motorcycle, those people are creative, but they don't look at themselves as creative. They only look at people as creative, those who have these magnificent paintings
Right.
or have written these fancy, fancy books. But it's in everyone.
Right.
And when we respect that within ourselves, we free ourselves.
Fantastic.
We find the way
I love
to go.
that. So everybody has creativity, and it's our
Yes.
responsibility to express it. Please show us some of your paintings, which is your creativity.
Well, we were talking before about favorite books, and I have to tell you, one of my favorite books, and I'm not going backwards, is The Power of Positive Thinking.
Norman Vincent Peale.
Norman Vincent Peale. I was a bad time in my life as a young person. And so what I did was I found that book like you did, and I'm moving up here, but it helped me, and it let me know who I was, and it let me know there was good in life, and everything turned out even better. With that, I decided that I no longer would be someone that people told what to do. I was going to be my own person.
Okay.
So I put on a Wonder Woman costume
And you began
and
to paint?
got rid of it. Well, I did a lot of things. I
show us.
worked at a regular job, and I met
start off, you
a
said.
teacher once
Mhm.
who said to me, "Why don't you paint?" And I said, "I can't, but I can."
Uh-huh.
And everyone can. That's what I'm trying to tell you. These are some of my paintings. They're kind enough. This one is called Sailboats at Sunset. This is Kitten in a Bucket.
Hold it straight up here.
This is Kitten in a Bucket.
Okay.
This is An Angel.
Oh, beautiful.
Mystery in Green. This is one of my favorites, and it's called The Geisha.
The Geisha.
The Geisha. This is Sailing Away.
Fantastic.
And I must show you this one because this is my granddaughter. This is Allison.
Oh, how lovely.
That's at her dance recital.
Well, I
So-
absolutely love your idea
Thank
that
you.
everybody has some form of creativity. And as you said, from Painting to music to riding a motorcycle. Everybody has a particular way that they express who they are, how God expresses
that's
to them.
what God wants them to do. Do it. You know, God is good. God is fun. God is like Robert Redford.
Well, God seeks
To me.
God seeks to express in you, through you, and as you. Life is
Have
always the
fun
greater
with God.
expansion of itself. Have fun. Yeah, well, I have a T-shirt that says God is a hoot.
Oh, I have a T-shirt that God said I'm right.
Okay. We're going to wind down, and what I'd like to talk about is Jerry's book, Coming Out to Ourselves. It's available on Amazon. And Jerry, my question to you is, who is the target audience for your book? Who'd you write this book for?
And let me add, if I may, it's available on Amazon as a Kindle. It's on BarnesandNoble.com as a Nook or paperback. It's also available on my website, www.redjerry.com, REDJERRY.com. The book sounds like it's just for the LGBT community, but it really is for everyone, because coming out means looking at something that happened, or looking at a belief that we have about ourselves and deciding if it's really true for us or if it's not. And so the subtitle is Admitting, Accepting, and Embracing Who We Truly Are, starting with admitting, wow, that happened. Wow, I was married and I got a divorce. Wow, my father left when I was young. Whatever it was, without editorial comment, just, wow, that happened. So there's the admitting, there's the accepting, and the forgiveness that goes along with that, and then embracing who we truly are. And who we truly are is the beloved of God, period. And when we look at these ideas and feelings of shame and regret and resentment and all the rest of that, that keep us from being the wonderful, positive, creative, successful people that we came here to be, we can release those toxic feelings and live the life we came here to live.
You know, sometimes we get so comfortable in our discomfort. It's sort of like an old pair of boots that we just pull on. And there's not always the willingness to let go. But today we've learned that our ability to respond is what makes our life filled with ease, peace, and joy. It's the ability to respond to the power within you. Our affirmation is, I can't control external events. I can only control the internal events of my mind and emotions. And I am divinely guided in all I think, say, and do. We have 2 minutes, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to wrap up. Dr. Maria.
30 seconds to wrap up. Okay, I want to tell you all, everyone watching, and everyone here in the studio, that I think you're all wonderful. I want to tell you that the most important thing to do in life is to be kind. And I want to tell you, help each other.
Okay, if you heard that ring, that was a sign from the universe saying what Reverend Maria was saying is true. That was just a sign.
That wasn't a phone? I thought it was Robert Redford calling me again.
Dr. Maria is stuck on Robert Redford calling her Reverend Jerry. Reverend Jerry, what message would you like to leave with our viewing audience today?
The message is that everything that's happened in your life up till now has happened for a reason. And when you allow yourself to look at it wholeheartedly and see that everything was a blessing, you can see that it's okay to release it, it's okay to forgive it, and move forward and be the wonderful, creative, blessed being that you are.
Fantastic.
That's great.
I'd like to leave you with this idea that you are not a victim of your life experience. There is that within you that is perfect, whole, and complete, has never been bruised or battered by any circumstances that you've gone through. You can learn about this amazing energy, essence, and intelligence that expresses through you as you. You can tap in and turn in, just like you turn on a dial on a radio, to this power. And you can change your thinking and change your life. I'd like to give a shout out to all our friends from the affiliated New Thought Network, of which Dr. Maria, Reverend Jerry, and myself are a member. You can check them out at www.newthought.org. That's www.newthought.org. And you can find spiritual community wherever you may be that can empower and support and encourage you on your spiritual journey. I'd like to say thank you for joining me this week on Spirituality Rocks. And remember to remember that God loves you, and so do I.
Okay, good. Very good.